Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Mel Robertson, and I want to welcome you to the Dare to Dream Bigger Summit, where you're going to learn how to harness the power of creation, get clear about your desires, and bring your biggest dream into reality. The mission of this summit is to empower people to awaken to the possibility of living an extraordinary life. And today I have a very special guest for you. His name is Dr. Joe Rubino, and I want to tell you a little bit about why I chose him to be an expert on my summit and why I think you're going to love him. I chose Dr. Joe because he is known as an expert in the topic of elevating self-healing and one of the foremost experts in the world on self-healing and self-esteem. He is a life-changing personal development and success coach on how to restore self-esteem, achieve business success, maximize joy, fulfillment in life, and productivity. He's also the author of 12 best-selling books, including Self-Esteem, the Self-Esteem book, the ultimate guide to boost the most underrated ingredient for success and happiness in life. Welcome, Dr. Joe.
Thank you for having me, Mel. It's an honor to be here with you.
It's a pleasure to have you. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about how you came to this work, self-esteem. What brought you about?
Well, at the age of 36, I found myself as a very resigned and introverted dentist. Was not enjoying my profession. Although I was in the top 1% of dentists in the country, successful by society standards, I felt like, is this all there is to life? I had severe neck and back problems, just wasn't enjoying the day-to-day grind of going into the office every day. And after about 16 years of practice, dentistry had become it had become old. It was no longer a passion of mine. So what I did at that point was I discovered a personal development program, immersed myself in personal development, and reinvented myself. And that program continued for 10 solid years, and my personal development now continues 23 years later to this day. But what I discovered was that, like myself, so many people are resigned to living a life that doesn't serve them, a life that is devoid of passion, a life that it's not fulfilling with their work, a life that it doesn't have happiness and rich relationships and, for many, abundance. So I sought out to get my own answers first and make my life work optimally. And what I've discovered since was that I have a gift for putting structures into place. So that's what I do now. I support people to win in life, to become abundant and happy and fulfilled and improve their relationships and make life work more optimally.
Wonderful. I love that. I love that. Now, you're passionate about championing people to elevate their self-esteem. Why is this such an important piece for those wishing to live their life on purpose?
Well, two things. What we found is that whenever people aren't living their optimum life, whenever they're deficient in abundance, when they're living in the scarcity mode, when their relationships are suffering, when they're stuck in dead-end jobs or positions that they don't find passion around, whenever life isn't working optimally, it's always pointing back to the same missing ingredient, and that's lacking self-esteem. And what we've also seen is that when people lack self-esteem, they have a lacking positive expectation for their lives. They don't expect to win. They don't expect to be happy and abundant and fulfilled and have all the things that we all want in life. And all of the ills of our society, everything from school dropouts to poverty to alcohol and drug addiction to divorce and war, they're all sourced in low self-esteem. So when we can elevate self-esteem, we now have people expect great things to happen, and that expectation generates a self-motivation to do the things that are required to manifest the results that they want. So by raising self-esteem, we empower people to make their lives work, and it works every time. Every time we are able to flip that switch and have people believe in themselves, they now have the ability to enjoy the process of life and know that it's all good and know that they're on the path of realizing their dreams, as opposed to just getting through every day like so many people unfortunately do.
That is so true in my own life. If I believe that I can't do something, or if I have the expectation that it's going to be hard or I can't do it, it fulfills that, it becomes that. But if I have the expectation that it's going to be fun and easy, that's what happens for me. So I love that.
Yes.
So, what can our viewers do to fully discover their life purpose? I know a lot of my viewers out there are lacking clarity about what they want to do with their life.
Well, people think that a life purpose is some mystical thing that the clouds are going to part and lightning's going to strike and a voice from the sky comes and says,
Right.
well, this is your life purpose. And it doesn't work like that. We get to declare what our life purpose is. And our
Absolutely.
life purpose doesn't need to be complicated. It's really about who we are at our core, who we are in honoring our most important values, first of all. Our values are who we are at our core that makes the qualities that make life worthwhile for us. And when the threads of the fabric that form those values are pulled, in other words, when our communication shuts down, when we become angry or sad, our values are being dishonored typically. So, with respect to life purpose, a life purpose that honors us is one that honors our values, supports those things that we're passionate about, and is a function of the gifts that we can share with the world. We all have gifts. Many of us are not aware of them.
Right.
For example, as that introverted dentist that I 3 years ago, I didn't think I had any gifts. I just felt like I was just going through the motions. And what I since discovered is that when you're having fun and you're pursuing your passions and you're sharing your gifts with the world, life works. So a life purpose that is all about contribution and you living and stepping into your magnificence is one that empowers you. So again, it need not be complicated. It could be as simple as sharing love with others, or being a teacher, or a guide to others, or it could be having fun or adding humor to people's lives. So it's something that always involves the element of contribution. It's never just about ourselves. Whenever we're focused on our own petty concerns, we're not living our life purpose.
Right.
Our life purpose is about leaving a legacy in the world, a legacy of love, a legacy of contribution, a legacy of sharing and inspiration. It's about being that person that is personally affected with people, and others are charismatically drawn to us while we're living our life purpose because it's about who we are. It's as if we could live the next 300 years of our lives and get up every morning excited about pursuing that day because we're impassioned about doing what we're doing at work, at play, with others. It's all about enjoying the process and being on a path that is rewarding to us.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Now, in your work, you talk about emotional awareness. Why is it so important for living our dreams and manifesting our life to a purpose to have emotional awareness?
Well, for most of us, we're not emotionally aware.
Right.
And so our emotions run our lives. We live in this knee-jerk reaction type response to upsets. And it happened early on in life, Mel, when we're young, before the age of 6 typically, when someone said or did something and we reacted emotionally toward it. We made something up about ourselves and about others and about the world in general at that time. And this upset made us either angry or sad or afraid. Those are the three major emotional reactive states that we have. And so what happened was, from that point early on in life as a child, we became addicted to this reactive emotional state, this mood, if you will. And for the majority of people, that mood is anger. And it could be a different flavor of anger. It could be indignant anger. It could be frustrated anger. It could be raging anger. For many people, the anger was unacceptable, and that became stuffed, and they became addicted to sadness. There's some estimates between 280 million and 350 million people on this planet that are addicted to sadness. These are people who are clinically depressed, whose brain chemistry even changes because they are addicted to sadness. They find interpretations and attract people into their lives who make them sad.
Right.
The third group are the group that are addicted to fear. And 22% of women, studies show, 16% of men are addicted to fear. These are people who worry about things all the time. So when we are wired in a way where we're emotionally reactive, life does something to us and we react with anger or sadness or fear. we're not in control of our lives. We're not in control of that charismatic ability to attract people to us. We're pushing them away through those negative emotions. So what can we do? We can, one, recognize how we're addicted. It's like a heroin addict shooting heroin in his or her veins. These emotional reactive states are that addictive. And as long as we're not fully aware of what runs us, it continues to run us.
Right.
When we are aware of how we're wired, either to react to upsets in life with anger, sadness, or fear, we now can stop and we can recognize the emotion as the big red flag that comes before our eyes saying, hey, wake up. You're not seeing this in a way that supports you. You're seeing it with anger or with sadness or with fear. Are you willing to give up your right to be angry? Are you willing to release the sadness? Are you willing to give up your right to be afraid? And that's an important question because these are such addictive, juicy emotions that many times we don't like the results of those emotional upsets, but we're addicted to them.
Right.
You know, when we're angry, we get to be powerful and forceful, and we get to make others wrong, and we get to be right. We get to dominate them and avoid being controlled by them. And that's a very powerful emotion. And so we have to be willing to give that up if we're going to have life work. Because if not, we're going to attract the very thing that we're putting out into the world, which is angry people. The same with sadness. Are you willing to give up your right to be a victim? Are you willing to take responsibility for your life and to look for the good, to access the good in life and bring gratitude into your existence such that you manifest happiness instead of sadness in your life? Because anywhere that we're addicted to sadness is aware that we're giving up our responsibility to get our needs met, to make powerful requests, or to move life forward in a way that honors us. And the same for fear. People who are addicted to fear give up their responsibility because you can't blame me. I was afraid. I was paralyzed by fear.
Right.
And so when we're emotionally reactive, we give up our personal effectiveness, we give up our charisma, we give up our ability to take responsibility for making life work. So once we give up that emotionally reactive mood, we recognize it, we're willing to create an interpretation in the moment that gives us an empowered interpretation. So instead of making us angry, what's an interpretation we can take in the time of the upset that empowers us? I'll give you an example. My dad just passed away a few weeks ago.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Well, thank you. And I was dealing with, just before he passed, I was dealing with the bank and trying to resolve his affairs. Now, he was very ill, couldn't do his own banking any longer. And I'm on the phone, and the lady on the phone at the bank is giving me a really hard time, saying, you have to bring your father in here, and he has to, sign the paperwork and make you accountable for his affairs and all this. And I'm telling her, I have power of attorney, and my automatic addictive state is indignant anger. How dare you?
Right.
Because back up a minute, when I was 5 years old, I was down at the playground, and I was bullied by some teenagers. They tossed me around like a football, and I hit my head on the concrete, went home crying with a big egg on my head. And I made up that people were mean and cruel, and the world was a dangerous place, and I was small and insignificant at 5 years old. And so that became my indignant mood. How dare you became my mantra. And so here I am, fast forward, 57 years old, 52 years later, on the phone, and this lady is giving me a hard time. And I am, how dare you? You can't do this. And then I recognized it. And as soon as I recognized it, I realized, what's a new interpretation? Because the red flag, the anger, the indignant anger was, this lady is an idiot. She's not helping me. Her job is to help me. Doesn't she know my dad is ill and he can't do his own things, and I'm trying to help him, and I'm busy, and she's giving me a hard, going into this whole story, right? So this is the red flag, the anger. Okay, there it is. Okay. So am I willing to give up my right to be angry? Yes. Okay. Am I willing to take the needle out of my arm and not get that fix of anger? Okay.
Right.
Yes, I'm willing. Okay, so I pull out the needle. I create an empowered interpretation now. What is an interpretation that keeps me in relationship with this person on the phone? Well, the relationship is she's trying to protect my dad's assets because there's a lot of fraud in the world, and I could be somebody trying to steal his bank account.
Right.
So she's actually doing her job and trying to protect us. So that's an interpretation that empowers me and it causes me to appreciate her rather than be angry at her. So with that, I thank her for trying to protect my dad, and I ask her for her help. And her attitude shifts because now I'm not opposing her, and I'm looking with her. Okay, what can we do? Because I explained the situation that my dad's ill. He's in a wheelchair. He can't come down. So what can we do? And she gave me a set of procedures we could follow, and we resolved it. And I went into the bank myself, and I got the cards, and she was very helpful. And life works, all because I was willing to give up my right to be addicted to anger in that moment. And that is the same if you're addicted to sadness. What happens? You create a reality where you attract people that make you sad. You attract abusive people. You actually even marry the person that makes you sad because that's how on rails we are to be our addiction.
Yeah.
And it's the same fear. So this exercise of in the moment giving up our right to be emotionally reactive, creating an interpretation that serves us in the moment, and then taking action that serves our new interpretation. That's the formula for making life an upset-free adventure.
I love that. I have a similar way that I do that kind of in my own life where, because my response is anger. It's always been anger when I was younger, rage when I was younger. Anger was a really big thing for me. And in my relationship with my wife, I'll use, for me, it's really important for me to be happy. I've found that that's the most important thing for me. So when I see myself get angry, I reframe it and I ask myself, well, I don't want to feel this way. This is not how I want to feel. So how can I change how I feel right now? I want to feel good and I want my relationship to be good. So, and just in the shifting my frame of reference, something else opens up and the energy dissipates and I'm able to move through that and have a new experience.
It's amazing.
It's beautiful. I love that. Thank you. So you also speak about 3 keys to healing your past and raising self-esteem, being empathy, forgiveness, and gratitude. Why are these so important for realizing your life purpose?
Well, let's start with empathy. Empathy is all about putting yourself in the other person's world and asking yourself, what is it like in Mel's world that she says and does the things that she does? And when we have empathy, we give up our right to be invalidated. So we realize that people do the best that they know how to do, and that 99% of an upset is about the person upset, and only 1% about the person supposedly causing the upset.
Right.
The reason why that's important is because if we're going to give up that reactive state, we need to have empathy, where now we are in control of our own lives. We're not at the effect of what people say and do. So if our life purpose is about playing the master game, so to speak, stepping into a grand possibility for our lives where we're having fun, we're pursuing our passions, we're contributing our gifts to the world, we're not going to be able to do that if we're constantly at odds with other people. So empathy allows us to be 10 feet tall and bulletproof in the sense that we now give up our right to get into the soup there, to be at the effect of what people say and do. And it allows us to have an appreciation for what it's like in the other person's world. And when we can have that appreciation to the extent that we can not only understand them, but we can forgive them, which is the next key. Forgiveness comes when we first forgive ourselves,
Right.
because we will find the same flaws in others that we noticed in ourselves. And as long as we are operating out of a lack of forgiveness, the same challenges are going to face us repeatedly throughout our lives.
Right.
So forgiveness is about, thank you for giving me the opportunity to learn and to grow. And I needed these experiences, although they weren't maybe that pleasant at the time. They were there for my growth, my soul growth, my edification, my wisdom, my empathy. So forgiveness paves the way for completion. And when we're complete, we elevate our self-esteem, we put the past behind us, and we create a new, deliberate future that empowers us, as opposed to a future that's based on more of the past. So, empathy, forgiveness, and then gratitude. Gratitude is about making every day Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah.
It's about looking for the blessings in our lives and making those blessings large. Law of attraction is all about making large the things that you pay attention to and focus upon. So when we focus on what we're grateful for, we get more gratitude, more blessings, more good things manifest. And our energy is different. Our energy attracts the things that we focus upon. And if our energy is not grateful, we get to suffer. Suffering is about having something we don't want or wanting something we don't have, and it's always optional. It always is about not taking responsibility for our life and not being grateful for the things that we do have and making those things larger. So when we can appreciate what it's like in the other person's world with empathy, forgive ourselves and others for the mistakes, knowing that they're good and they're part of the learning process, and then look with gratitude and acknowledge people for the gifts they are to us, and acknowledge ourselves for the gift that we are to the world and to ourselves. Now we have the ability to fully step into that life purpose, which is a declaration of the person that we've decided to be. Because anytime that we are at the effect of what people say and do, we're not living our life purpose. Anytime we haven't forgiven, we're putting up energy blocks that keep our life purpose from manifesting, because we're not in the flow of energy in the world. And when we're not being grateful, we're focused on our petty concerns typically, which again is inconsistent with our life purpose. So our life purpose is that declaration that says, this is what I'm going to be up to in life. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to be abundant. I'm going to have great relationships. I'm going to have fulfilling work. Join me. Let me make your life better than I found you, to every person that we meet. And when we can live that possibility, we're empowered, we're happy, money flows to us, and life works.
So true, so true. So what resources are available for our audience wishing to step into their personal power and reclaim their self-esteem?
Well, we have lots of programs to support people to live their best lives. We have a program for children where we teach adults these principles to grow high self-esteem kids. And that's the name of the program, highselfesteemkids.com.
Love that.
We have a program where we teach these principles to adults, which is highselfesteemadults.com. And these are certification programs, which is optional, where we actually certify people to go out and to teach these principles into the world, whether that's to their family and the people that they love in their schools, in their churches, whatever, or it's just a matter of using the principles themselves. So highselfesteemkids.com, highselfesteemadults.com, and we have a gift for everyone to introduce them to these principles. If I could share that.
Oh, I'd love you to. Please go ahead.
And that is www.selfesteemsystem.com. It's all one word, selfesteemsystem.com. And they'll receive a 45-minute audio called 7 Steps to Soaring Self-Esteem. And that will come with 7 mini course lessons in their inbox about every other day, a different lesson to support people to have exercises to map onto their lives, to elevate their self-esteem. And they'll eventually get an hour-long video that I did on self-esteem elevation, and lots of other gifts and tools and programs that support people to live their best lives.
Well, thank you. Just want to ask if you have any parting words of wisdom you might like to say to our viewers before we end our interview.
I do, and it's a challenge. The challenge is if any of the 6 key areas of your life aren't working optimally, your health and appearance, your wealth and your finances, your job or your business, your relationships, the area of your personal development or spiritual development, and the area of having fun and recreating and pursuing your passions. If any of those areas aren't a 12 on a scale of 1 to 10, you have a choice. You can either say that's just the way it is, which is what I did for the first 36 years of my life, lived in resignation and in apathy, or you can realize that you get to take responsibility for making your life work optimally. And when you do that, doors open, possibilities arise that you didn't even know existed before. People come into your life to help you to champion you, to make you great as you make them great. So my challenge is don't live in that resigned, apathetic state. Don't live in poverty or in scarcity. Don't live with broken relationships or lack of fulfilling work. Don't live in a life that you're not having fun and you're not impassioned about living that life purpose and sharing your gifts with the world, creating a vision for your dream life, and then setting goals that align with that vision. Because it's all possible. And it's only possible when you believe in yourself. So I invite you to take that first step. Get the free gifts at selfesteemsystem.com. Do the exercises. Take that first step to manifesting your dream life. And I promise you that when you show up for life, life will show up for you. I wish you Godspeed. And thank you, Mel, for the great work that you're doing as well.
Thanks so much, Dr. Joe. It's been a pleasure having you. And I'll make sure the link for the free gift is up in the email that comes out with this video. Thank you so much, Dr. Joe.
Thank you, and thank you to everyone.
Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Okay, bye.